Welcome back to our discussion of 14 defining characteristics of fascism. Yesterday we talked about controlled mass media, and today we will be discussing obsession with national security. Fear is used as a motivational tool by the government over the masses. What do you guys think? Does the U.S. have an obsession with national security?
No.
Oh, and how?
Yeah, definitely, especially since the September 11th thing. And the Patriot Act and all that. And now even with Trump, it's even worse because all Mexicans are rapists and all Muslims are terrorists. But somehow white supremacists aren't either.
Well, and here's the thing too about this obsession with national security. When you see it pop up, it's usually a scam. It's not about this whole thing about national security is sold to us, but it's not to protect us from hostile countries. It's more about protecting the government from the people, and a classic example of that right now that we see is, okay, you have a president who wants to build a wall because, the threat of Mexicans coming over the border. And yes, we do get some gang members. Yes, MS-13 did come over the Mexico border. But the majority of the people coming over the border are coming over here because they want to work and they want to pick our fruit and they want to do stuff that we won't do. What is going on as far as border security is pretty much none of the ships that sail into our ports is inspected. And of the ones that are inspected, very little of the cargo is inspected. That's a fact. It would be so easy to put a nuke in a shipping container and just sail it right into New York Harbor. There is a refinery down in Texas where it's alongside a river that runs up or runs into Texas or out of Texas, and it's so easy to just get there and start a catastrophic explosion. And we're talking, it would be raining fire literally if that thing went off. That's right at the edge of Texas on the ocean. So real targets that can be affected and real threats to national security are not being addressed, and more fake threats are. With this border wall, we're going to see more of these border patrol, checkpoints popping up. Because even though we have a wall, maybe you're a Mexican who got through, so there's going to be more of these checkpoints you have to go through where they bully you into letting them search your car and this sort of thing. So the whole national security thing, it's also a scam, and particularly when you have fascism coming in, it's a scam where the focus is on things that protect the government from the people and not the people from actual threats.
I think a bunch of terrorists were just taking notes on the first part of that, Steve. But with the
I'm pretty sure they already know.
But no, I mean it goes to just violating our rights in general. Like with the TSA, if somebody wants to travel, and checkpoints aren't just in the border; they're in every city all the time. I see them in LA. Drunk driving, DUI checkpoints, safe driving to check your license. It's basically saying, "Stop it, let me see your papers." I mean, why the hell do they have the right to stop us to check if we have a valid license? That's ridiculous. Why the hell do they have to put a checkpoint in the middle of a busy street, jam up all the traffic, and then decide they're going to pull over the people they deem that need to be pulled over? And it's usually not the white people in the expensive cars either.
Exactly. That's the whole point of profiling. And and granted, the Supreme Court has knocked multiple instances of that down, but people don't realize that, the Supreme Court, first of all, it takes years to get to the Supreme Court to argue a case, as we saw with the Arizona legislation SB 10, which the one part that did get knocked down by the Supreme Court was the profiling, that you could ask for somebody's papers at any time without any suspicion, without any reason why. And that right there, why have we allowed it? It isn't necessarily us that have allowed it, but it's because it's not happening to the majority. It's not happening to the white people.
Yeah, I remember I used to live in Pomona, which is just east of LA, about 30 minutes. And they would have these checkpoints in between Pomona and Claremont, but they'd never be facing toward Pomona. They'd always be facing toward Claremont. And Claremont was a really rich white area. And the area they were in, all the bars were in Claremont, where all the rich drunk people would be driving from, but they wouldn't put it there. They put it where the people from Pomona, who are a majority Latino and black, would be coming that way. So they wouldn't even mess with the rich white people. You know what I mean? It was to stop people from going into the rich area. That's what it seemed like to me. Every single time they do it, it'd be on a street called Indian Hill, right there by the 10 freeway, and it would be going toward Claremont. So if you're going out of Claremont, you're cool, but going in, they want to make sure you're somebody that's supposed to be going in to that rich, nice white area. And that was always sickening to me.
Yeah. And it's not just, whether it's immigrants or terrorism, the media and politicians have perpetuated fear consistently. That's one of the main things that we see from politicians anyway, even before we had the mass media that we have now. But with the 24-hour news source, they had to have something to always report on. And one of the things they did was with violent crime in the United States. Most people think that violent crime is at its like all-time highs right now, or even over the last couple of years. And we've not even close. We're at all-time lows. I mean, all-time, especially within the last 40 years. I mean, our highs peaked in the late 70s and then peaked again in the 90s, and we have seen a sharp decline ever since. Our homicide rate in 1992 was 10 per every 100,000. Today, it's 4 per every 100,000. That is a huge decline. But nobody would know that, because all you ever see, whether it's local news or whether it's CNN or Fox, is this violent crime or that violent crime, because that's what sells. Fear sells. And by keeping people fearful, they'll continue to vote away their rights and their privacy.
Well, yeah, and I think...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think also, these 5 corporations that control the media and their buddies have a lot of ties to the government, and they want to see an expansion of law enforcement, to scare us into submission. And so they sell these crime stories and, the terrorist among us and this sort of thing, because it makes the billionaires who run this country and their government puppets have an easier time keeping us in submission. They get to put more uniforms on the streets with weapons and more surveillance out to keep us in our place and keep us from challenging them. And that's ultimately what this is about. It's not about law and order. It's about imposing a tyranny.
The police are the terrorists among us. But the thing is, they got us scared of each other. And that bothers me and hurts me so much. I mean, I've told this story before. It was a protest with a really small group of people, white, Latino, and black, but maybe just 5 or 6 of us. And I was like, you know what? Let's go into these neighborhoods and get these people and get more people to join us, just people from the neighborhoods around here. And everyone, even the black people, even the Mexican people, because they weren't from this neighborhood, they were like, nah, that's a bad neighborhood. I don't think we should just be going through there. Like, how are you scared of people? We're here for justice. We're here to help people. We're here because we are people. We need help. We want to help others. We want others to unite and join us. Why would we not go to this neighborhood and try to round up other people? That didn't make any sense to me, but it was fear.
Divide and conquer. That's the strategy.
Like, how is a black person scared to go into a black neighborhood? That makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
It blew my mind.
Well, that fear is unfounded. I'm a white guy. I've gone into plenty of rough neighborhoods and plenty of black neighborhoods, and
it wasn't even a rough neighborhood. It was just a black neighborhood, by the way.
Well, I'm trying to recall a time I had any of these problems. And when I say rough neighborhoods, I'm talking, like quote unquote rough neighborhoods. And I'm trying to recall a time when I had a problem in these neighborhoods, and I can't, because it didn't happen. Because because it's bullshit, and it's just fear that's sold to us.
Yeah, most of the problems I've had in bad neighborhoods happen to be the police harassing me or the people who live there. Like 9 times. I'm not gonna say I've never had issues. I mean, everyone knows I've been shot. I have 14 bullet holes in me, but not all those were in bad neighborhoods either. Some of them were in really nice neighborhoods. Things happen, I'm just unlucky to always be in the middle of it.
Well, I think something that's really telling is actually a statistic, and this is why, if you look at the logo for ifoughttelaw.info, there's the number 55 in a circle, because the U.S. Department of Safety has researched, the different ways people get killed, and they found that you are 55 times more likely to be killed by a cop than a terrorist.
Yeah, and that's any terrorist. That's both terrorists combined. White supremacists and Islamist terrorists combined. The police kill more. We talked about this before.
Yep.
But it is a fact, and people have to realize that. Who do you want to be scared of? The people who are out there killing, or the people that are just like you that you should be teaming up with and uniting to make things better? If you're scared of everybody, how are you fighting for people and you scared of these people? That makes no sense. It's like, how is someone going to say, I'm fighting for your rights, but I'm terrified of you? Then why bother? You know what I mean? It makes no sense to me. We can't be scared of each other. It's propaganda. And like Gal just said, it's division. And, if we're going to fall for it, we're going to fall for it. There's bad people everywhere. There's bad people in Beverly Hills and there's bad people in Compton. And I would argue there's probably more bad people in Beverly Hills. We have to just get over whatever fears we have of the people and fear the real enemy, which is the police and the government that runs them, that are trying to crack down on all our rights together. It's just, without that, we don't stand a chance. Unity is key here. And they're doing this to scare us. They want us to be scared of anyone who's a Muslim, anyone who's an Arab, and now anyone who's a Latino. And they've done it before with black people. Be terrified of them. Be terrified of everything. But you know who they never say be terrified against? Beside the government and the police? It is white people. Never, never, never be terrified of white people.
Not even all the ones that go and do the mass shootings.
That's my point.
Yeah.
It's insane.
And so we can definitely say that an obsession with national security is happening in America. Like this tenet, there is no doubt that this one is happening.
Yeah, it's been happening a long time. And then, like I said, when September 11th came around, they kicked it up. Boom. Let's just take as many rights as they'll let us take. And you know what? These people sat back and let them take them. People like me was bitching and protesting. But the mass, I mean, even now, if I get pulled over by a police, or I'm filming a police, and he's going to say, well, what are you tripping on? I said, I'm scared. You have a gun. Well, I'm a cop. Like, that's supposed to make it all better. I'm terrified of you. You have a gun and you can use it and get off. No other gangster can do that. If some gangster down the block over here came and shot me in the face, they'd be looking for him. You know what I mean? If he shot anyone in the face, they'd be looking for him. I'm nobody special. But a cop shot me in the face, 9 times out of, well, I would say 9.9999999 times out of 10, that cop's going to be getting a paid vacation and go back to work.
And we would be seeing the most unflattering photo of you that could be dug up, plastered all over the news within the hour.
Oh, you definitely see the photo of me with the big 2 guns I sent to the KKK. That would be the first photo they put out.
Oh, absolutely.
Or me with a mask on my face or something, like a bandana rag, or one of the ones I posted before, Yeah, but I don't care. I really wouldn't even care. All I'd say, if they kill me, what I think everywhere, Anytime they kill somebody, why don't we all just go crazy and shut shit down? I know sometimes people attempt to, but it's like the whole nation has to stand together in this. One city doing it isn't going to do it. We all have to unite, and people have to care. People have to say, this is BS. We're not under attack. Our country is not in any danger. If a terrorist attack happens, even the biggest one, the biggest one we've ever had is what, 3,000 people or something?
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, as horrible as it is, that's a very rare thing. It's almost impossible to do. You know what I mean? It's a one in I don't know how many millions a chance you have to pull it off successfully. And when it does happen, it's a really small percentage of people compared to the total population of this country, you know? But the police have killed more people, way more people than that, probably 10 times that since 9/11, easily. And nobody seems to think that's a threat. Our military's going over fighting countries, killing innocent people for our safety to fight terror. At the same time, they're letting ISIS go, letting Al Qaeda go, not worried about them so much. They're just occupying places. It's all just set up. You know, it goes back to every other thing we've talked about, the media, the scapegoating. It's all, these are all relative and they're all relevant, and it's disgusting. And if we don't stand together to stop this, it's not going to get better. There's no savior. There's no superheroes. There's just us.
You know, as we're going along doing this thing, one thing I'm noticing is the way I'm seeing that all of these different tenets, not only are they here, but they are feeding each other, and we keep coming up with the same small group of people behind these tenets, orchestrating them and benefiting from them. You know, that's the first thing I'm noticing as we go through this. And we keep talking about 9/11. You know, I believe it's come up in every episode. There was definitely a thing where we rounded a corner. You know, we were headed this way anyway, but as soon as 9/11 hit, we rounded a corner and picked up speed. Like, these things are coming in just terrifyingly fast now, and they seem to be getting faster and faster with every passing year. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill. You know, how the hell do we even stop it at this point?
Because they know that you have a certain amount of time after something like that where people are in fear and terror, and the majority of people will say, do whatever, just keep me safe. I don't want to die. It's going to get me. And they feed that.
The Patriot Act was signed October 17th, I believe, 2001, so a little over a month after 9/11. Most congressmen admit to this day that they didn't read it before they signed it, and you didn't really hear anybody say anything against it until almost 10 years later. Now, I shouldn't say anybody in the media or any congressmen or women didn't speak up against it. And I don't think there was anybody in Congress who didn't vote yay on the Patriot Act. And look at how quickly, you know, nobody even really questioned the amount of rights and privacy rights specifically that we were giving away. And we have been in that state since 9/11. We have always been, every time that, you know, the time period ends of being in that high state of national, whatever it is they call it, basically saying that we're still at war. We still have this threat to us, which is one way they're able to take away our rights, because then they don't have to, you know, that's how Guantanamo Bay still exists, is because we're still in this quote unquote time of war, and that it's needed for, how many times have you heard, you know, oh, well, that's a matter of national security. And it all comes from the amount of shit that was given up by our Congress people and ourselves. Nobody fought back against it for years. And then when people did start mentioning it, they were written off as, you know, tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists. You know, when it was brought up, like, hey, we gave away our right to any kind of online privacy or our cell phone privacy or anything like that, you were just kind of written off until the Snowden documents. And we had to read it in college. We read it from beginning to end within a year of it being signed, and it was just absolutely amazing the amount of rights it took away.
Well, it goes back to what I said about all these national security measures being a scam. I'm glad you brought up the Patriot Act, because one of the things in the Patriot Act was, prior to the Patriot Act, if they were going to tap our phones or whatever, they had to get a warrant from a secret court called the FISA Court. Now, the thing about the FISA Court that most people don't realize is, if you look at, and I don't have those statistics on hand right now, but you can go online and look them up real easy. The most, like in 1 year, I think it was like 7 out of thousands of applications for a FISA warrant were denied. FISA is basically this monkey with a rubber stamp that just approves warrants. And they decided that they needed they decided that agency that just basically approves warrants and only denies a few every year, that was too much oversight.
Yep. The statistic is 98% of FISA warrants get approved.
Thank you.
That's insane. Well, you guys, this is definitely another one that is definitely relevant in the U.S. today. Anything else you want to add?
No, I would just be repeating stuff.
Yeah. Well, in that case, thank you guys for listening. Stay tuned for tomorrow's show, which is Religion and Government Are Intertwined. So tomorrow we'll be talking about church and state. Thanks for listening. See you guys tomorrow.